Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Inner Sanctum Voxcast, coming to your Vox from the very depths of the Segmentum Obscurus. As we today have a guest with us, the Miniature Apothecary.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here, to be honest.
That is that I'm humbled that you think so. And I'm excited to have you here, and I do hope that you have a good time.
Yeah, man.
So you can be found on Twitter, and you do Twitch, and you aim to start YouTube, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, mostly Twitter, Twitch, Instagram at the minute, YouTube. Yeah, getting there.
It's in the works. Yeah, I will be putting all the correct links in the description. Yeah, so I did want to do a little friendly interrogation.
Uh-oh.
I invited some interrogator chaplains straight from the Dark Angels here to help. I'm just gonna start off. What got you into the hobby?
Um, my dad. Does that?
Oh,
Um, yeah. So I was 8-year-old when I got into the hobby. Um,
oh yeah.
what actually got me into it was we used to have a little independent in the town I grew up in, and we walked past and we saw the old lizard men and Batronians in the window.
Oh
We went
yeah.
in, we had a couple of games, we bought um, the box set at the time, which was Lizard Men and Batronians, and it was something I could do with my dad.
Ooh, that's very nice. So you both had that interest in the hobby, or was it like he got into it just the same time as you did, or did he have a previous interest? Like,
He got into, I mean, he was always a very creative gentleman. He's very artistic.
all right.
So obviously that played to his, things that he already enjoyed anyway.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously this gave us something to do together.
That is great having that as a joint interest there. That is.
It spiraled very quickly
Yeah.
from the that box set to just one more box of knights, just one more box of ladder slan mage, Fey enchantress, and another box more archers and more infantry, and
Oh, yeah.
it went on from there. And then I got into as you do when you grow older, you get into the sci-fi side of things, and I found 40k, and it was like, ooh,
Oh, yeah.
big guns and boom booms and all the rest of it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it went on, it went from there.
But this was this was Warhammer Fantasy then, and not AOS, right? Yeah, Bretonia isn't in AOS.
No, none of this Age of Sigmar
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It was Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I just have to check because I'm like I got into the hobby last August, right? So I'm I'm a newborn when it comes to the hobby, right? So
we're all allowed to make mistakes.
oh yeah, but I did. On a slight side note here, I got so sad when I found out that the fantasy models aren't made anymore. I want some Tomb Kings, okay?
Yeah,
I want Cetra.
that
Uh,
shock. It's a nice model.
oh yeah, I mean the Tomb Kings just have that flair, that style. I love it.
They were a
Uh,
great set of models. Let's face it.
oh yeah,
It's just a
oh,
shame they weren't more popular.
yeah. I mean, I can see why a lot of people might be deterred because they are one of those that I would look at and go like, ooh, that feels like it would be difficult to paint,
Hmm.
like getting that kind of sun dried bone and everything. But I'm gonna get into into it a bit more later
Yeah.
when we have some general discussion, right? I did want to ask you mentioned that when you grew older, you got a bit more into the sci-fi. What was there a specific faction of 40k that made you go like, ooh, this I want to do, or was it just
Uh,
40k as a whole?
Marines.
Yeah.
The first bit of artwork I saw was one of the I think it was the Marine Codex at the time, and it had Crimson Fist on the front, and I was like, "Who are these guys?"
Ooh, yeah.
Um, and then I stopped off. A couple of weeks later, I went into town with my mum, and I was telling her about the shop that we'd been to and everything, and we turned up, and She was like, she was practically having to drag me out the shop. You need to go do the shopping, and the owner was like, "No, he's fine. He can stay here. There's a bunch of us. We all have kids. We can handle him." And I stuck around and watched a couple of games, and there was all sorts. There was a very nice variety of factions, but it was the Marines that caught my eye, and it was like, oh, I want some of these.
Yeah.
Play.
I definitely, and it kind of goes back to the same thing there as mentioned with the Tomb Kings. I think that the Marines, and probably even more so, no, they have a lot of flat surfaces, a lot of straight lines and things like the pauldrons, and they just have an edge, so it makes them very simple but still amazing looking in a sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the other models at the time, they were probably one of the less detailed, simplest models. For me,
Yeah.
I think I was about 10 the first time I got hold of a white metal Marine, and immediately took my dad's pair of clippers to it and some milliput. Tried to make them more closer to the artwork.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When I started doing that, it's like, heard about conversions. What's a conversion?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I have bits. I have milliput. I have a dad with experience. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Might as well. Yeah.
At the time, they probably were one of the less detailed. I always had a soft spot for orcs as well. I liked orcs.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. A lot of people do, and
they're just
they are hilarious. Oh, I heard a little funny, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have heard this, but a theory, including orcs. Actually, I was in a voice chat just before our recording here, where I heard it the first time. Is that the only reason the Emperor is still alive is because orcs believe him to be that powerful. So their faith in that, or their belief in that, is what allows him to stay alive.
it's like the theory around Yarrick.
Yeah.
The reason why Yarrick, also one of the theories is the reason why Yarrick has lived so long is because the orcs believe him to be that powerful, and so because of the power of belief, he's lived for.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact of he's had all them infusions and the age enhancing treatment, everything.
Yeah. I do just love that though. Like it's such a fun thought, but at the same time, it is 40K. It could very well be the case.
Good.
Uh, at least with Yarrick, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case with the Emperor. At least personally, I don't think so. But it is a fun theory nonetheless.
Oh yeah. Hey, who
Yeah.
cares, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird
And
things happen in the 40s.
oh yeah. Oh yes, definitely. So you got into conversions very early. Did you stick to conversion? I know you've made several homebrew chapters. Did that just come immediately that you just went on to make as much custom as you could, or did you
No,
stick to?
I started with sort of like a codex chapter first. I started with Flesh Tearers.
Oh, they're good.
It wasn't until many years later, unfortunately, I kind of had a bit of a break. I got the Flesh Tearers. I was busy with college. I was playing rugby. There was a lot of other influences. I got rid of my army.
Oh yeah.
3.5 companies worth of them. More.
Ooh.
Yeah, that stings nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yes.
And when
That it does.
I again went for a more established army. I went for Space Wolves.
Yeah.
I'd always admired them from afar. Around about the same time the Eye of Terror Crusade happened, or campaign
Oh, yeah.
happened, sorry, with the release of the White Metal Wolfen and things like that. So I started Space Wolves and Tanith Army, and then decided that I wanted a bit more creativity. And at the time, stuff in the codex that was saying, there was notations in the codex about, if you want to use this character but in your homebrew, just change the name.
Oh.
And it was like, ooh, okay. I wanted that bit more flexibility,
Yeah.
more creativity.
Oh yeah.
As much as I love the 40K lore, there's a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of gaps in the lore. There's a lot of sections of the galaxy that we don't know a lot about. That there's brief mentions here and there, so you subtly tie in your army, and you not just Marines, any faction you can do this with.
Oh, yeah.
So it went from there. So I started making my own, and that went from a standard sort of 2K list to that ended up being 3 companies strong.
Oh, yeah. What was that the one you sold on that the people who bought it continued their lore, or
Yeah, as with most things, like real life kind of kicked in. So I ended up
yeah.
selling off the first homebrew, kept my Space Wolves, but sold off the homebrew. And it was a father and son, sort of same principle with me and my dad. So it was like he messaged me and it were like, do you know what, it's for you and your son. And the last I heard, which was a few years ago now, the last I heard they'd actually expanded and it wasn't 3 companies anymore, it was 5 companies, and
Yeah.
also expanded on the law, which is nice to hear. Like that
Oh,
whole
yeah.
I created, I'd given them the army, but they chose to follow on the law as well and
Oh, yeah.
and the models and make it into half a half a.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that is wild. That is so much.
and the other two I created prior to the most recent Umbral Wolves.
Yeah.
One again, just necessity, I had to sell it, and the other one unfortunately got lost in a flood. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
but that didn't deter me. Yeah, I like the creativity. I like
Yeah.
creating and putting my own little in my own head as well. It's because it's it's not like you're actually putting your own stamp on the galaxy. It's your own thing in your own head, and
Yeah.
but it's made a lot easier with things like social media and people are interested in what you've got to see. People are interested in homebrews. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
big thing within the community, whether it's a homebrew or warband or it's your own Dark Eldar Cabal.
Yeah. I mean, I personally love to hear what the community has, the creativity they express.
Oh yeah, there's fantastic homebrews. I mean, even just there's some people out there that have got like the bare bones, like they are a successor of the
Yeah.
Imperial Fists, for example, and they come from this planet, and that's it. That's all they have. But the color scheme, the insignia, the iconography, and maybe some of the characters have got a little bit of background. But even that is enough
Oh, yeah.
to wet the whistle, so to speak. And it's like, ooh,
Oh, yeah.
like
Definitely.
that.
I was gonna say that if for some reason the father and son who bought your first homebrew happens to hear this, would love to hear if you still continue that actually.
Yeah.
So if you are hearing this, feel free to leave a comment or PM me or anything like that, and would love to hear an update about that.
I took the feelers out, I think a year ago now.
Yeah.
I lost con. I think they changed mobile numbers. I changed mobile numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So I obviously we've lost touch. But I have tried to get in touch with them over the years to get some pictures. I'd like to see. If it's still going now, it'd be nice to see how large that force has got. I've
Yeah.
never seen it up on any local trading pages. In my local area.
That's a good that's a good sign.
So yeah, and I live just over the hill from one of the biggest second-hand places in the area. So if those models were going to end up anywhere, I guarantee you they'd end up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At Murfield Miniatures, which incidentally, obviously, is my sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
They would end up there. I know they would, and I've never seen them, so I'd like to say nice.
Hopefully it's still going on.
Mm,
I I did want to ask real quick because you mentioned your first one was the Flesh Terrors.
yes.
You recently did a Flesh Terrors force and auctioned off for charity, I believe, right?
Yeah. It just finished today
Yeah.
of this recording. It
Oh, yeah.
today. They're getting.
Did you make that Flesh Terrors because Flesh Terrors were your first and you wanted a bit of a nostalgia trip whilst painting them, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the charity event is for SIUK, which is Scleroderma and Raynaud's UK. It's in honor of my dad.
Oh, okay.
It's the event I do, not SIUK, but the event I do in honor of my dad. I'll do it as close to his birthday as I possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
I did one last year, and I did the full 24 last year. This year, I haven't been taking good care of myself, and that's what I think the problem was. Why I only did is like, what was it, 17 and a half hours or something. Um, but yeah, it was kind of that nostalgia. It was that, well, that was my first 40k army, and I am very 40k orientated. The channel is very 40k orientated, so it made sense.
Yeah.
But yes, they're soon to be rehomed. They're going to America.
Ooh,
So
quite the trip.
they're going to a good home in America
Yeah.
soon.
That rejoices me that a son of Sanguinius gets some more units, some flesh tearers.
Yeah,
That's great to hear.
I was the Mrs. Apothecary was a little bit disappointed. She was like, "Oh, they look really nice. I want you to keep them now. Buy some more and paint more." Oh no,
Oh
what a shame.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, but and I did want to ask as well, and we can trans transit a bit into the next section here. And I'm actually curious a bit about this, and you can respond to this. Is because you are very passionate about what you call hobby health or mental health within the hobby, and I'm a bit curious. Is that the reason you have the name apothecary, or
Uh, yes, in a way. My the what do you call it? The persona
yeah?
moniker of the apothecary was actually my son's idea. Strange.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I, up until last year, I worked in mental health services, and unfortunately, it became too much for my own mental health. A lot of things that I could say which are wrong. So I left. Became a full time carer for my son. Um,
That is good though. Like, did he have a reason for coming up with the
no,
apothecary thing? Or?
um, I don't know. Like when I left work, I was very unsure of what I was going to do. The idea of going back into work personally made my anxiety flare up.
Yeah.
Um, so because of obviously last year, the event I did last year, and a lot of people had come to me, and the feedback was, "You should stream. You should like
Ooh,
you should really put yourself out there. You clearly have the experience. You've just talking to people online. You have helped a few of us just from that one 24-hour stream.
oh
You're
yeah.
good at this. Have you ever thought about doing it full time?" Um, so obviously that sprung the idea, and I wanted to make it mental health orientated because I'm quite passionate
Yeah.
about that. And we were thinking of a name, and yeah, it was actually my son that was like the miniature bit,
Yeah.
and he was looking at some models, and he was just like, "What about apothecary?" And I was like, "Do you know what? I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I get it."
Oh yeah.
Normally, like in a chapter, the chaplains deal with the spiritual side
Yeah.
of things, and uh,
That is true.
the apothecaries deal with the physical. But at the same time, mm, it still works.
Yeah.
It sounds good, and it
Oh yeah.
works. So just wait
Yeah.
start with.
I don't know. I think there's something about the miniatures apothecary sounds a bit better than the miniatures chaplain.
Mm,
It's there becomes a kind of a pause before chaplain.
yeah, a lot of chaplains. Let's face it. You go on look on Twitter, man. You cannot swing a grot without hitting a chaplain.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even.
And this, which is a very lovely coin term, the hobby health, right? It's a lot about how the hobby and hopefully its community can be a help to people because especially during these times during the pandemic, it can affect people a lot being stuck at home maybe and everything, and having that kind of creative outlet and the very lovely and friendly communities like your server here, for example, is a very great thing to not just be like entirely quiet and alone if you're in lockdown, for example. And it's a great way to just be able to connect and share a passion for something like in this case Warhammer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
hobby health is essentially all it is it's just a hashtag. It's all it is. The idea behind it, which is just the same idea of the Miniatures Apothecary, is just promoting that positive mental health through the medium that is Warhammer.
Yeah.
Um, I personally suffer from depression and anxiety. I have a
Yeah.
provisional diagnosis of PTSD. I struggle sleeping, for example. I put up a tweet the other night saying I couldn't sleep, and immediately someone responded,
Yeah.
who also struggles with sleep, and we ended up talking and discussing and going through different ways of helping each other. Um,
Yeah.
I've met so many people within the community that up until recently, not just because of myself, because there are other people out there. If I could remember their names all off by heart, I would acknowledge them and shout and give them a shout, each and every
Yeah.
shout out, because there are key members of the success of our community that together with people have been like telling others it's okay, you can talk about this. We are here as a community to help. Uh,
Yeah.
and more people are feeling comfortable with it, and talking about it. And the more we talk about it, the more we raise that awareness. And the more awareness, the more people can get help, because
Oh yeah.
that's the one, the one thing in the community is I acknowledge that it's predominantly male. And the one thing that males are really bad at is talking about their emotions. Let's face it,
Yeah.
that's
It's there is unfortunately a certain stigma around it, and
yeah,
unfortunately a lot of times about opening up at all. And it's I know that, like, when you talk to someone who has the same passion here as in Warhammer, it's very easy to form a initial connection
yeah,
and just that bond. And then if they're okay with it, and I know you have your DMs are always open, and so are mine if someone just needs to talk and vent, right? But to just have someone to be very comfortable with, know that they share something with you, a passion, a love here, right? And that, I feel like that would help a lot of people to open up and talk to someone, because a lot of the time that can build up a lot inside, and letting it out can be a great thing just there. And it can be a very, it's opening the gates slightly to getting out of whatever you're suffering from, if there is a way out. Like, some things are chronic, unfortunately, but there are still definitely ways to make it easier and better.
yes. Someone compared it to what's it? Someone compared it to now something along the lines of an iron warrior trying to tear down an imperial fist's wall, or something along those lines, tearing down those walls. And it doesn't matter
Oh
if you're a male member of the community or a female member of the community. The apothecary, in its entire ideals, is here to listen, to support, and to give what advice I can when I,
yeah.
you know. Um, and I think as a community, um, we do a very good job of that. Someone calls out for help, and God, 20, 30 people all jump to it, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah. And
which is brilliant.
I
It's
know.
wonderful to see.
Yeah. And I know you've mentioned that previously in our talks, that, like, for example, when you were sleepless the other night, that's the thing with the hobby, that there's people from all over the world, and there's always someone awake and available.
Yeah,
And just to, even if you just want to chat or maybe get in a call or something whilst you paint, there's always someone sharing the hobby that is around.
yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've I've seen people like drop comments on various tweets like, "I'm at work right now, but give me 5 minutes. I'll get my break and we'll have a
Oh,
quick nap."
oh yeah.
It's like your work, your family life, everything else. They're clearly, the important things, they come first. But as soon as you realise that someone within your own community is struggling, is in pain, needs help,
Yeah.
it's surprising how far people will go. I've witnessed people drop off Twitter because of low depression, low mood. The depression or anxiety has got the better of them, and they've they've
Yeah.
disappeared for a couple of days, and there's clearly like messaging going on, and people are trying to find other people.
Yeah, there's a concern for your fellow hobbyists.
Genuine concern as to where, what's going on with said person.
Yeah,
And like you said,
which is
you've got that connection. That having that
yeah.
connection makes it easier for you to talk about this stuff, makes it easier to open up to this person because there's already that interest.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And whether it's painting, converting, modeling, rolling dice together, or even if you're just casually interested because of the lore, it's
yeah,
still hobby health is all about that promotion of positive mental health through the medium of Warhammer. And that could be whether it's old fantasy, Age of Sigmar, 40k, Necromunda, anything and everything, Horus Heresy,
oh
all the
yeah, yeah,
different settings that we have. That's what hobby health is about. It's we all have this one connection. We're all here as a community, and we all look after each other because that's
yeah.
the definition of a community.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and that's the thing as well. Like, no matter who you are, where you're from, what political stance or religious faith you may have, we are all in the same hobby here. We have all the same passion and interest, and
mm,
we are all hobbyists. So no matter who you are or where you're from or anything like that, there are people who share your passion and who you can talk to.
you share your
Uh,
passion. They share in some instances. They share your pain.
yeah.
Um, the hobby itself has this pull to certain people. Um, Personally, it draws all the best types of people to it. To be honest,
Oh yeah. I have had such a great time since I got into the hobby. I have met so many great people in the community, and it's like I am always happy whenever I engage with people on Twitter or in Discord or anything. It is amazing how many
there's
wonderful and interesting people you encounter.
yeah. I name you half a dozen right now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding people, and some of
Yeah.
that they're all in their own right. Everyone is they're so talented. The creativity and the sense of community and everything. There's it's a brilliant atmosphere, and okay, yeah. So there's a couple of bad apples amongst the bunch. Yeah, it's going to happen anywhere you go. But you focus on the positives. You know,
Yes, and
you
those bad
promote that.
apples are fortunately rare.
Yeah,
Uh,
you promote that. We as a community we should be promoting the positive side of things. You mentioned
yeah.
obviously about the charity event. I am still overwhelmed by the amount of support that the charity event itself got during the build up. The amount
Oh yeah.
of direct messages I got, offers for people to join me in stream, people who were like, oh, we'll do it with you. Not like we did because I did a collaboration last year with Wolf Hilda and Foxy DM and Commissar Azura. Not
Yeah.
like we did 12 hours, a bit each, but they were like, no, 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 we'll come join you in stream and we'll paint for 24 hours. And it was astounding. Uh,
Yeah. And I love that too. I have seen not just yours, but I've seen several different charities. I know I my memory is terrible. Gargoyle, Plinth painting studio. I think
yes,
I'm so sorry if I got it wrong, but he has a charity at the moment as well. I'm gonna link that in the description as well for anyone to check out. But seeing all of these deeds for the betterment of others, these charities for example, his
Gargoyle,
was about
Gargoyle Plinth
yeah.
Painting Studios,
Oh
Raising
yeah,
the Latch,
yeah,
um, an amazing.
which was
I've donated.
uh,
I've put my name. I've already donated. If anyone
yeah.
listening, if you haven't, go check the link out and go do it because
Oh yeah,
amazing.
oh yeah, and even if you cannot donate, if it's entirely understandable, it's a rough time. But even if you cannot, give the tweet a share.
Oh yeah.
Spread some awareness of it. It's this one in particular was for Welsh Children's Cancer charity. So it's definitely for a good cause, and it's heartwarming to see the heart of a lot of the community members. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, they are. The community has its moments where it makes you kind of happy to
Oh,
just the one.
yeah.
It's a wonderful place, and it has a wonderful atmosphere. And I can't get enough of it, to be honest. I enjoy the engagement. I enjoy putting up those weekly tweets like
Oh, yes.
thing Monday, because everyone hates Monday. So you put up one on Monday.
Yeah.
Right, come on, what's the plan? You put
Yeah.
Wednesday for Warhammer Wednesday.
Yeah.
There's the stream.
And
I really like from a streaming point of view as well. As much as they've been a bit difficult recently due to connection issues, you even enjoy that. The engagement and the banter is
yes.
fantastic. It's so much fun.
And I mean, I've noticed that as well, and I do wanna say to anyone who's listening, I am genuinely humbled and wholeheartedly thankful. I put out a tweet a couple of days ago, like the day before yesterday, I think, because we are going to have a miniature showcase here near the end, and I put out a tweet like, if anyone would allow me to showcase your miniatures, feel free to share them. And the amount of people who have been like, oh, I have this, feel free to use that, and here's some you can showcase, and just the amount of people who are willing to provide for that and help me with what I'm trying to do here, highlight the work of the community, it's astounding.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like having, and obviously we've discussed it before, community's version of its own hobby roundup.
Oh yeah.
Which you've mentioned minis, like it's like yeah, minis. I just get giddy. It's like ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I do have some saved for episode 2 as well, which are looking really good. So
that tweet blew up, man. That was really
yes.
I was watching from afar. It was really
and I'm glad it did, because it allows many members of the community to share their work, and I encourage anyone to do that, whether it's your first miniature or your 3000th Marine.
3,000.
Whether you're
That's
that was difficult. Yeah, that was difficult to say, but no matter how experienced or unexperienced you may be, share your work. There are a few bad apples, ignore them. Most of the community is always supportive and just loving and welcoming, and I encourage anyone to show their work, or if there's like a miniature like, oh, that one looks cool. And I was going to go back to this here as well with the Tomb Kings I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Something that looks difficult, and that is, you shouldn't set the standard for yourself that you have to make something the way it looks on the box or professionally looking.
No.
So long as you have fun painting it, and that you're just be proud of what you do as well. That is the point.
Oh yeah, the only person you should be competing with when it comes to your painting level of skill is yourself.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes,
never. Don't get me wrong, we all do it. Even I do it. I've painted stuff recently and I've posted it up, and it's been well received, and I've felt good about it, because we all do. We get recognition for something we've painted, we feel good about it. And then you see someone else who's done like the exact same model, and you look at it and think, oh my grown, look how beautiful that is.
Yes.
What you like? Oh, what did I do? Why's mine gone wrong? But you should never do it. No. Compete with that's it. Don't ever compete with anyone else.
Oh yeah, I have had a lot of the same, or a fair amount of the same, because I'm trying to get into kit bashing and green stuff sculpting, and the level of detail some people can sculpt by hand on green stuff, like it's insane. And here I am with like I tried to do a hood on a helmet, and it's a blob of green around a helmet. But it's all a learning curve that goes ever upwards. That's the thing.
My first, I think my first marine looked like I'd dipped it, like I'd like stuck it in a pot of Blood Angel Red, flicked off the excess, and put it on the table. It's like I'm ready to game, and yeah,
Oh yes.
it was like nope. That I look back on that. If I still had that many, I'd look back on that and go right. That's it. Where's the terps?
Honestly, if you still had that, I would showcase it. I
I
would.
wouldn't want it to. I really want. They were. I'm not kidding, man. Seriously, like in the entire 3 companies worth of models, there was nothing that actually looked like a model. They looked atrocious, and I know they did. They were terrible, but we all start somewhere, you know.
Yes.
People comparing themselves to another painter out there who's been painting for 20, 30 years. I had it on a stream not too long ago. Someone who said about getting to my level, and they've only just started. They're like 2 months into the hobby. It's like, dude, 2 months into the hobby, I was dip painting flesh tearers. They're
Yeah.
black and red, and they were when I did them, they were predominantly red.
Yeah.
My first lizard men, they were all blue. They were all blue for a reason, because I couldn't be bothered to do any other color. When you're a kid, when you're that age, it's like it's all about the gaming.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Until I got older, that it was like more about the painting. Like everything my dad taught me just came rushing back years later. But yeah, just never compare yourself to someone else. Compare
Oh yeah. No. So,
with yourself.
I
That's it.
yeah. I actually had this a similar moment. It was a few months ago. One of my dad's exes had a 6-year-old daughter
Hmm.
who was over, and I said like, I have some spare minis if you just want to sit down and paint some. And she was super excited about it, and to see how proud she was of what she painted, and just look at this, it was heartwarming. uh, I'm pretty sure the chapter it was one of those masters of the chapter kits, the fine cast one, I believe. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I think the face was like half green and half beige, but still the excitement about it and having done something that you're happy with, that's the point.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
Well, that's it. And it's as long as you're happy with the outcome, and you can say I've put in 110%. That's all that
Mhm.
matters.
Yeah.
On the subject of kids painting, oh my days! Watching a kid paint his first Warhammer, first GW mini, and the sort of look on their face when they've done it, it's priceless. You're never gonna.
Oh yeah.
I remember my son, like I did with my dad. My son started Lizardmen not too long ago,
Oh yeah.
and the first time he realised he could pretty much paint it Ushanti bone. I
Oh,
can't pronounce.
Shanty Bone, yeah.
He painted it that with that as a base color, and then he just used washes, like as if
Okay, yeah.
contrasts. And the look of sheer joy on his face when he finished his first Saurus warrior, he was so proud
Ooh,
of himself,
oh yeah.
and that feeling never goes away. That
Yeah.
look on his face, and it's priceless. It's absolute. I love it.
Oh yeah. Uh, I did want to mention real quick, and I'm real quick gonna say, I know that we have sort of unofficially done it, but we have moved on from the hobby health
Yeah, man.
subject. Uh, we sort of did that unofficially, but we're sort of just in a general discussion here. But
Mm.
I did want to say that because it was a thing that I did a lot when I started out, that I felt the need to do every like the every absolute thing on every single little mini. But as of late, I've been like, okay, I maybe I don't need to put in 5 hours on a regular intercessor, right? But
Yeah.
give some special attention to maybe a chaplain or chapter master or captain, right? Something that is supposed to stand out. That is where I personally have turned to just focusing a lot on, whereas I'm not too fussed about, for example, just an intercessor.
Yeah. I think I'd say probably about 95% of people that I've ever spoken to in the hobby
Yeah.
who are doing large scale projects, like company size or bigger, generally speaking, will pay particular attention to their characters.
Yeah.
Um, they'll still put a lot of effort into their regular infantry, but
Yeah.
their characters are the ones that get the special treatment. I do it.
Yeah.
You know, because they want them to stand out.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in the case of for example, a Space Marine not a chapter, a company, right?
Mm,
There you have 100 intercessors, but one captain, right? So if you're going to spend as much time as the captain on all of those 100 intercessors, I think that's going to take you a while and it can easily burn you out.
yeah,
So I think that's a thing to keep in mind, right? That it's not that bad if you don't do like 5 layers of edge highlighting on every single intercessor. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you want to, of course, but I don't think anyone should feel like they're doing wrong for not doing that.
yeah. Oh, for to be honest, for my I've started. They're about 2/3 done. I have a little Primaris,
Hmm.
a little Primaris Space Wolves force. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's sort of a tribute to the community as a whole. So there was a young lad some time ago who passed away from cancer. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you know what you want to talk about, Brand,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
community, again. This is just one of those beautiful moments within the community. The community came together. At first, it was mostly like the Space Wolves members of the community, but then obviously it expanded from there.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do like my own little tribute to the community. So I have um, an intercessors unit that are from Ragnar Blackmane's company. Yet the aggressors that are part of this list are actually from Sven Bloodhowl. You know, the
Okay.
um, Reavers that are in the list will be from Morkai's great company.
Ooh.
So
All right.
this, you know, it's
Yeah, it's a bit of every Space Wolves company into one kind of.
into one list.
Yeah.
But I use what they're called, Hounds of Morkai color scheme, and that has
Yeah.
3 layers worth of edge highlighting. And after I'd done it on that one character, I was like, I'm not doing 3 levels
Yeah.
of edge highlights on 50 models. Never mind
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
50
Oh yeah.
Marines. No, you get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That in.
It's
Um,
yeah. You do need to limit yourself in a way as to not burn yourself out.
yeah,
There are, of course, people who can do it, but don't. If anyone is new, don't make it too much of a challenge for yourself. Like,
there's always a simple way of doing anything. You know, there's
yeah,
color schemes out there that if you're wanting something simple to start off with, so I'll rephrase that actually. If you're new to the hobby and you've got the confidence, because not everyone has the same amount of confidence. If you have the
yeah.
confidence, go nuts. You know,
Oh yeah,
you
definitely.
for whatever reason you feel like you don't have as much confidence to tackle some of those more daunting color schemes. There are so many colorful armies out there,
Oh
different
yes.
in different factions. They've got colorful background, really interesting characters. Even if some of these characters don't have like rules, um, they've got really basic color schemes. You know,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
the hobby definitely tailors for a variety of different people with a variety of different skill sets. Uh,
Yeah. And I do think in a sense that is because I have a bit of a varied opinion about this. The Ultramarines are sort of the poster boys of almost the entire franchise, right? But they their color scheme is pretty simple to get a hang of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is understandable.
Blue with gold
But
trim or blue with yellow
yeah,
trim.
yeah. There is the thing though that I do feel unfortunate, and I felt a bit of the same, is that when when I got my first box, right? I was looking at this box and I was like, I will not be able to paint them like that.
Mm.
Like the standard, and it kind of comes on as if this is what is the peak, this is what you should do. And it gave a bit of a like, oh, I can't do that well. But I have come out of that personally, and just like I'm proud of the minis I do, and I'm happy with
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun painting them and everything. And that is again like never compare yourself to others.
Mm. And there's
So
no such thing as can't.
yeah.
There
Oh yeah.
there is absolutely there's no such thing as can't. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
just try.
Yeah.
If you know, God, I could list off a number of blooming. If at first you don't succeed, try again. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Oh yeah.
so many quotations you could pull out of thin air right now for anyone starting the hobby, and th- they all mean the same thing. It's you want to go, you want to try it, do it. You know, you want to give someone a
Yes.
go for it.
Oh yes.
There's no
I
can't.
I actually had a bit of a fun interaction with someone. I believe I'm having a bit of an issue keeping track of which tweet everything was a response to, but
Oh,
I believe this was one of the ones submitted for me to showcase, and it was a real big Tawa army, right?
mm,
And if I remember correctly, this was his like his first army, and the entire thing was white. And I said like, dude, they look awesome. I
mm.
could never do that. I am so bad at painting with the white. And he just said like, yeah, I had no idea how difficult white was. Had I known, I would have chosen something else. Uh, it's definitely one of those colors that's a bit difficult. It's a lot of like any color underneath is very through it
Mm.
unless you put on a lot of layers. And
There's a couple of
like
out there that are a lot easier to do than others. Let's face
yes,
it. White, yellow, black. In my own experience,
yeah,
they're not the easiest color schemes. I used to hate doing.
no, it's
Strangely enough,
uh,
the man who's named after a white marine. Um,
that is true.
the guy that's homebrew chapter is white.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually really enjoy it now. Like I found a
Yeah,
color scheme and a way of doing it that I'm actually quite happy with. You know, it comes out looking
that is
right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have my Marines are mostly black with a bit of red, and I have just started getting into dry brushing, and that has been a great way to get some manner of highlighting on the black. Just like I think, oh, what is it called? I have it next to me here. It's Eshin Gray that I just dry brush a bit with, and it's a bit of a
Yeah.
highlight. It works.
Action grey dry brush over black looks. It's at first it is so subtle,
Yeah.
and then when it dries, it's like, oh wow, yeah, okay, that
Oh
works.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the same. What was I painting now? I can't remember what I was painting. Something that's that
Weren't you doing the
actually
dreadnoughts?
I was painting the Umbral Wolves because they have black
Oh yeah.
trim. With them being based off the Lunar Wolves, it's white with a black trim. And I came across the Duncan Rhodes old How to Paint Lunar Wolves, and
Oh okay. Yeah.
it was on there, and it was like, you know, do you do the black, and then for the highlights you use Esh and Grey, and I was like, what? That's like a really
Yeah.
that's not going to work, and I did it, and I was like, oh, okay, that worked.
Yeah. I found it so funny because I've seen some of Duncan Rhodes' videos, and I just like the other month or so, I noticed that on Twitter his handle is like, I think it's like his handle is legit too thin coats,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny
Yeah,
actually.
I'm old school painting. You know, I mean,
Oh
you've seen my streams. It's pot dipping and brush licking. You know, and I know
yeah. Yeah.
people out there. I know who you are. I know you kind of cringe when you watch my streams, but I'm old. I was taught in the old school way how to paint, so it's straight from the pot. And I don't know. I can't comment on the quality of my own stuff. I think is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are actually quite surprised when they find out that I paint straight from the pot. Like, what? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
I,
Don't get me wrong. There's certain colours, bronzes,
I mean,
gold, metallics that do get watered down because
oh yeah. One would be Korax White,
that's
because
another.
that one is like a lump, so you need to like dip it in water and then you can paint.
Yeah,
Uh,
chewing gum is that.
yeah,
Uh,
basically.
Absolutely terrible. Um,
Yeah. I did want to bring up another thing actually, because you've been helping me with this relatively recently, which is, I believe it was like my first proper voice conversation with you.
hmm,
But I was talking to a friend who has previously not really gotten into Warhammer, and they just messaged me like, I decided the salamanders are my thing. And then I asked them a few sentences later, like, are you going to go proper salamanders, or are you going to make your homebrew one? And they were just like, I can do that? And that's one thing that I wanted to bring up, right? Because
yeah.
Warhammer has a lot of, as you as you mentioned there, a lot of loopholes. There's a
Yeah.
lot of several Astartes chapters partook in this campaign, and I mean the Imperium spans 1,000,000 worlds. So there's a lot of empty space that you can do anything
Yeah,
with. And
to an
yeah,
extent, yeah. There's whole like subsectors within the galaxy,
yeah,
within the 40k lore. You can look them up online, or you will find the vaguest of reference in a codex from like umpteen years ago, or a book.
yeah,
Um, one novel that may reference a planet that something happened on. But
yeah,
other than that, we have little to no knowledge of what happened there. You know, the people that lived there, the participants of said engagement, of said siege, or whatever. There's that many mysteries to the 40k universe.
oh yeah,
There's practically, any number of loopholes which you
yeah.
can utilize for homebrews.
Yes, and this applies to more than just Space Marines. There's Imperial Guard regiments, Eldar craft rolls, Drukari cabals,
Yeah,
Chaos warbands, anything like Necron dynasties. And that is something that I would want to give to as advice, as you advise me to anyone who might be new and thinking about making something new, is to find the kind of loopholes where it might say several Astartes elements participated here, or
yeah. I mean, look,
just anything like that. Yeah.
look at the conversation we had over Discord about obviously your homebrew.
Mm.
Just utilizing, and obviously don't take everything you read on the fan pages or the wiki, because the majority of the time, most of the information on that is wrong. You really
Oh yeah.
realistically you could do with reading the codexes or some of the novels
Yeah.
associated with said faction. Obviously, the internet is a lot easier because it's just click, click, and there you go.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that we were looking at, just because
Yeah.
it was easy. When you looked on the 40k wiki page, for example, it
Yeah.
was listing one of the campaigns that we looked at. It just listed as a number of Astrates forces. There was
Oh yeah. I think
chapter.
I think that was the 13th Black Crusade.
It was
I want to
the
say
Gothic one,
13th.
12th.
Oh, wasn't that 11th? I think the 12th was just the Orc Wall or something, wasn't it?
It might have been the 11th. It was War of the
Yeah.
Black Crusade.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the Gothic War.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, you look at like what was the other one, like the 5th Black Crusade or something like that, and it
Yeah.
was a number of Astartes chapters.
Yeah.
Not even they
Yeah.
didn't give you,
It's,
an actual number of how many chapters or which chapters. It was just a number of, there was,
yeah.
and that is that sort of thing in the law is duplicated time and time and time again. And you think
Oh
the
yes.
editions have changed and GW has changed the law. There is actually a chapter, I can't remember them off the top of my head. There's a chapter that's a Primaris chapter that's taken a homeworld, and previously that homeworld in previous editions, all we knew about it was a name and the fact that it was a death world. That was it.
Oh, okay.
And now it's got a bit more lore added to it because there's a chapter now established there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, your friend wants to do a Salamander successor chapter. Go nuts because they have them now.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I did have a thought, but it escaped me. But it may return to me now I remember. And this doesn't just the like several Astartes elements. It doesn't just exist on like a wiki page. I remember in Aaron Dembski Bowden's Hell's Reach, there is like a meeting of all the forces that are going to partake in the Third War for Armageddon, and Gromaldus states that he sees some space wolves, some blood angels, and several others from chapters he doesn't recognize.
Mm.
And just that is like, yeah, there's a bunch of representatives of chapters there. You can have your chapter have been there.
Yeah.
Which
because
yeah.
there's that ambiguity, there's that mystery, which
Yes.
I think GW likes to make, it likes to make sure it's there,
Yeah.
purely and simply to help with the community's creativity.
Yeah. And this is a good thing about 40K as well, because I mean it's the entire galaxy and it's so huge. So like, even if, for example, again, Astartes, they're like the most like generally there's around 1,000 chapters, and what like 200, 250 have actual lore, which is still a lot of lore. But
Yeah.
there is so much space to do something still. So there is so much actual lore, but there is also so much vagueness that you can make your own thing out of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a couple of different foundings, 13th, and I think it's the 23rd founding. I'm sure it's like
Are you thinking of the ones that are just like unknown, or
it's like you look into it and it states that they don't know how many chapters were created during these foundings.
yeah? I think that was because I think the one I went with, the 23rd for my Templars of Sanguinius, was I don't think there was actually any chapters listed there. It only said that this founding was to help the Astartes expand their reach in the galaxy.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
there you can just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what you want to do, you look at the amount of planets that have a military tithe, and so therefore will have their own regiment. There's thousands.
Oh yeah.
We don't fully know exactly how many Space Marine chapters there are because there's been that many made. Look at the law itself, where it states that so much information has been lost over the decade, over the century.
Yeah.
You could have a chapter that pretty much is unknown because there's no documentation about them.
Oh yeah.
It's
I mean,
easily done. Having done for my second time, I think now, doing a second run, a deep lore dive into like the likes of the Carcharodons, for example.
Oh yes, yeah.
They exist above the galactic plane, and there's stuff out there, there's places on the very edge of the galaxy where people live. There's chapters who are fleet based and haven't been seen for centuries, and then will appear. And because they're gone for so long, there's no record of them. There's the briefest of
Yeah.
mentions here and there.
Yeah.
To be fair, a respectful nod to certain YouTuber out there that does videos on a regular basis about Space Marine chapters and the lack of information on them. There's so many mysteries,
All right.
much ambiguity about some of these chapters that
Yeah.
you sky's, pardon the pun, but the sky's the limit to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did want to move into a bit of just lore discussion after the homebrew here, but I do want to say, for anyone that is thinking of making a homebrew, don't be afraid to have ideas. Don't feel like, oh, this is stupid. Just don't be afraid. Yeah, but like if you have an idea, like go for it. Like don't think, oh, this is probably stupid. Like you have the Black Templars, for example. Like most chapters are limited to 1,000 Marines, and the Black Templars have like unknown, but around 6,000 to 7,000.
Yeah.
So like, even if you want to have your chapter be like a bunch of Marines, go for it.
Yeah.
Just if you have an idea, don't be afraid to use it.
That's the whole point of non-codex compliant chapters. At the end of the day,
Yes.
Like
my Templars.
I mean, never mind making your own chapter, but like just putting your own spin on things. I've seen people that have created they're minor lists in the grand scheme of things compared to other projects. They've made like a 500-point list completely and utterly based around a squad or a unit or a strike force that they've read about in a book, and put their own twist on it and given them the names and essentially turned them into a unit of characters. And just don't be afraid to do it at all. Like,
exactly.
let your creativity run wild and enjoy the hobby, because I guarantee you, although the likelihood is there will always be someone else out there who has probably done the same thing, because let's face it, with how long GW Warhammer in general has been going on, I think every idea has probably been done at this point. There will always be someone out there who appreciates what you do. Especially if you wanting to show it off, there will always be someone that appreciates it.
I mean, I'm like that. I always love seeing or reading about the creative ideas or paint jobs or anything that people have made, right?
Oh yeah.
I did want to touch up on a bit of bit of lore that I find funny when you mentioned chapters not being seen, right? Because I like this, because the knowledge the knowledge is very common to us about the Horus Heresy, but there are planets in the galaxy that don't even know. So like there are occasions where like a word bearer or something can just dress in nice armor and they're like, oh, a space marine. And it's just like, that is just I find that so funny, and just like the depth of that, and it sort of gives you a perspective of how big the galaxy is, right? Like even such a big event isn't known by everyone in the galaxy.
I can't remember who it was. I want to say the Forge of Mars, Lee. I want to say it was him. It could have been someone else. It was one of the like, real heresy fanatics out there. No, fanatic is the wrong word. I love the heresy stuff as well. So fanatic is probably the wrong word. But one of the big heresy fans, there was a conversation not too long ago about that, where someone did point out that there was a planet in one of the novels who didn't even know, like, they thought the heresy was still going on or something. A chapter turned up and they were like, oh, what the, it's finished. But there's like, it states in a number of the codexes over the years and novels that the Horus heresy as a whole is somewhat unknown to the common people of the
Yeah, it's kept a bit hush hush,
yeah. How the heck
which
keep something because there's word of mouth. Surely,
oh yes.
surely its stories will have been told.
I mean, you have these basically demigods and legions of like 130,000 space marines each,
Yeah,
just warring it out on Terra. Like
yeah. I mean,
that's some commotion.
what about one of the what about the planets that I don't know, say Perturabo or Blumit? No, not Perturabo. That's probably a wrong. Say Magnus for example.
Yeah.
Planet that the thousand suns brought back into compliance, and then they took off and went somewhere else, and then obviously Prospero and the heresy happened, and they never see him again. Like, is no one ever going to ask that question of where did those nice, helpful, red
Yeah.
magic men disappear to? You know,
Yeah,
uh,
they're dust and armor now.
just an hour.
Um,
Someone bring me my
yeah.
vac. To be fair, for all the banter and all the bad mouthing I do for Tau, Dark Angels, Ultramarines, and Thousand Suns, I love them all. Like, if I could
Oh
have
yeah.
an army of everything, I probably would, because there is an aspect of every faction that I love. If it's
Yeah.
Orcs, it's Speed Freaks. If it's Chaos, it's to a degree, it's things like the Cultist armies or Dark Mechanicum forces.
Yeah.
Even the Ultramarines, like their first company, the lore around them and in the first Tyrannic War, for example,
Mm.
absolutely amazing. If I did an Ultramarines army, it would be based around Tyrannic
Oh yeah.
veterans. Um,
Yeah, because like you say, the hard time you give there, like it's just friendly banter. It's
oh
just
yeah. Even
it's
Archangel stuff. I
oh yeah.
collected Space Wolves for many, many, many years now, and
Yeah.
the banter's brilliant. I really
Yeah.
do. I
Oh yeah.
enjoy the banter, but you can have some brilliant lore conversations. And I
Yeah.
don't know everything. I will never claim to be an absolute expert. I'm still learning things.
Oh yeah, I don't know everything either by far. Like I got into this last August. I'm very new still
I've been
in comparison.
25 years on, 2 mental
Uh,
breakdowns, clearly some memory issues because of that. So I kind of feel like sometimes I'm relearning things all over again. Uh,
oh yeah,
but at the same time, my brain keeps hold of certain bits of information, and it's always the obscure bits
yeah.
of lore as well. It's never to anything important.
Oh yeah.
Um, the obscure stuff.
Oh yes.
Um,
The weird and kind of oh that's interesting. Those kinds of things.
it's weird events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always feel like I'm relearning everything, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of enjoyable. So for me personally, I'm always I kind of always have that nostalgia because it's like I'm learning it for
Yeah.
the first time. Um,
Yeah. A lot of people like have that like if only I could do that for the first time again. Like
yeah, I can.
because there is something uh, in the lore. I did want to ask you a question here about the lore because we have a lot going on at the moment. We have the Necrons waking up. We have the Silent King, as far as I know, kind of making or setting up the basis for potential alliances. I know he spoke to Dante of the Blood Angels, for example, and did a temporary truce against the Tyranids. And that is a question because I hear a bit of back and forth. But do you think that the Milky Way galaxy is legit just surrounded by the entirety of the Tyranid hive mind?
uh, um, how do I say this politely without making without getting you demonetized? I honestly think the Milky Way galaxy, in the grand scheme of
Yeah.
things, especially when it comes to the Tyranids, is well and truly clucked.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh yeah,
having. I think the first when I first heard about, or when the first announcements came out about Ninth and
mm,
sort of the updated imagery for the maps came out, and I remember seeing the Tyranid version of the
Oh,
map,
yeah.
thinking, "Oh, we're clucked."
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
well and truly. Like they don't. I don't feel
yeah.
like Tyranids are represented correctly on the tabletop. Sometimes, like they're a bit lackluster. Uh,
Okay.
I really enjoy playing against Tyranids as a Space Wolf player. It's like they're the monsters of the galaxy. They're the dragons
Oh,
to
yeah.
my Vikings.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I kind of like fighting against them. I've never had a game against Tyranids that I have not enjoyed, and I've played against
That
some
is good,
really
though.
cheesy mid lists. Lore-wise, I think they're brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, like when I saw that updated lore, it was updated map. It was like, oh my goodness me! Like Galactic North.
Um,
Yep, there's three.
yeah.
The Galactic
Okay.
East.
I mean,
There's four there. Ooh, there's two there. Ooh,
yeah.
underneath the galactic plane, there's another
Oh,
big
yes,
one
that's
coming straight up underneath
Leviathan.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
like,
we noticed that the other day when we were working
yeah,
on my homebrew
exactly.
there. We just looked over, like, there's three that are basically arrows straight towards Macragge,
Yeah,
which,
how is McCrag? Not that I want to see McCrag go. It's just how is
yeah,
McCrag still there? Because surely they'd need
yeah,
constant. They're like perpetually under siege. They have to be at this point.
yeah,
You know, in the update in the like ninth edition lore, it's like Death Guard have had a go, Tyranids have had a go. You know, it's like, is McCrag even still there? Is it
yeah.
secure? Is it safe? You know, what's going on?
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, you have, in contrast, you have the devastation of Baal, which I believe was Leviathan, a splinter feet of it at least.
Yeah, do you know what?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, due to real life, I've been busy. I still
Oh, yeah.
haven't read the desert. I still haven't read about it. Like I'm aware it
Do,
happens.
do you?
I'm aware of some key events that go on, um,
Yeah.
particularly between Gabriel Seth and Astaroth. Is it?
Astorath. I
Uh,
don't think that was in that book, though. I could have just forgotten, though. But
I think it's to do. Well, it's to do with
oh
that
no, actually,
itself.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I'm aware of some key events, just haven't actually read it yet. So
Do
guilty.
you mind me talking about it though?
Oh no, I'm fine to it's fine
Yeah.
talking
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
about.
Because you have that Dante called back all the successors of the Blood
Yeah,
Angels, right? And I believe it was 29 chapters, so
yeah,
around 29,000 Marines
mm,
to defend Baal and its two moons, like a single system, three planets against a splinter fleet of Leviathan.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think near the end, before the Primaris arrived, they were like 1,500 to 2,000 left.
yeah. They
And
were almost wiped out.
oh yes, yes, and I do want to just say that I love that quote from Dante there, like we are all Death Company now.
Yeah,
It's it's
we
lovely.
are not going anywhere.
Yes, but I do, but like they almost failed there. They just barely made it, and that was one. That was just Leviathan, right? And if McCrag has, I think it's Kraken, Ouroboros, and Behemoth. I could be wrong, but
I'm
it's
gonna have to.
three at
I
least.
apologize if the recording picks up my clicking. I'm gonna have to look it up because
Oh yeah,
I'll,
yeah. No worries at all, man.
let me go
It's
into my files and I will just bring the galactic map, shall we?
I would say, yeah. No, I don't. Unfortunately, don't have the map up anymore. I restarted my
Saved,
computer
but
since our talks.
computer has decided it's going to act really, really slow. So just
Yeah.
give it a minute. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, I mean,
speak. Yeah.
law first tyrannic, the first tyrannic war. Macragge got hit then, and it was
Yeah.
all but the same principle. You know, the first company of the Ultramarines sacrificed themselves, and they managed to hold them off, but at
Yeah.
what cost? You know. Yeah. So it is. Oh my days, that's a lot of Tyranids. That is a lot of Tyranids. That's
Okay.
worrisome. Yeah,
Yeah.
going back to your actual question, yes, I kind of think that the Milky Way is a little bit in trouble.
Yeah.
Just
Wait, which three fleets was it by McCrag, by the way?
Hmm?
Which were the three fleets heading for
One,
McCrag, by the way?
the three fleets are High Fleet Behemoth is the
Mm,
direct path. Uh,
mm.
I can't read that one. High Fleet something or other. Kraken's nearby.
Yeah.
Organ's also nearby. Although,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
fair, I feel sorry for the Tau Empire right now because they are really
Yeah, they're
really
entirely engulfed there as well, aren't they?
it's um
Yeah.
I
Uh,
I've not been focusing on the lore as much as I normally do.
yeah.
But recently I've been paying a bit more attention to things and getting back into reading the actual novels, with
Yeah.
my audiobooks. So I get a lot of information from that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then just obviously word of mouth, talking to other hobbyists
Yeah. That
about
is probably the
yeah,
most common way to learn lore, to be honest.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I
Yeah.
suffer from dyslexia as well, so reading
Yeah.
for me, like I could pick up a book tomorrow, the newest release, for example, and by the time the next law book comes out for the Ultramarines, I'll still only be 2 chapters in. I read. I'm not
Yeah.
embarrassed by that at all.
But that's where audiobooks are great, though.
Yeah, that's why audiobooks are brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I love the law. I'd love to learn more
Oh, yeah.
about it on a more regular basis. Um,
There's just so much.
so much. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how long. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this 25 years now, and I think even if it wasn't for the problems I've had due to the breakdowns and my memory, I still think
Yeah.
I wouldn't know everything. I still think I would probably still be learning. Um,
Oh, yes. I mean,
just because
it's an entire galaxy to learn about, so
it's a galaxy's worth of info. You can't know
yeah.
everything that happens.
I don't even know everything on Earth in real life. It's
Exactly.
yeah. Uh, I do have one more question continuing sort of from that before I'm thinking we move on to the miniature showcase.
Yeah.
Uh, but on the same subject there with McCrag being just absolutely targeted by Tyranids, now that Gilliman is back, do you think that the Ultramarines might make Terra their headquarters with Gulliman being the regent of the Imperium of Man at the moment?
No. Uh,
No?
if recent events are anything to go by, with the attempted coup, as it were, uh,
No.
by some of the High Lords, no, no,
All right.
the response. I mean, the
Yeah.
response from like the Imperial fists alone would be. I mean, I know Gilliman's back and everything, but no,
Yeah.
Terra's one of those. I think one of those places that has to stay neutral ground
Oh, okay. Yeah.
best it possibly can.
Yeah.
In certain situations, Marines are allowed onto Terra, but I'm sure there's something in one of the books that says basically that Marines aren't allowed on Terra anymore because of what happened in the Heresy.
Yeah. I mean, Terra does have the Custodes, so they are pretty much doing fine.
Well, that and it's got the Custodes, it's got the Imperial Fists currently, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
They have the Last Wall protocol as well, which
Oh, yes.
anyone who wants to have a bash at Terra, knowing that that's in place, you clearly have a death wish. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
it's the cradle of humanity. Let's face it.
Yeah.
That call comes out saying, "Terra's under attack. Anyone who's available can, answer your phone." That's going to be a world of hurt. I think
Oh, yes.
I think somehow if something happens to McCrag, I
Yeah.
think you probably find they may do something similar to like what's happened with Cadia, like new Cadia. You might get a new
Oh, okay. Yeah.
or they'll just become fleet based.
Oh, yeah. That's a possibility as well.
I don't think they'd make Terra their home world. or they're, like, I think Gilliman's got enough on his plate as it, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he's sort of, given out some of that responsibility to the likes of Dante, poor guy,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
King of the North. But yeah, Gilliman's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah.
And again, I bash Gilliman, but you can't even put yourself in the mindset of, one, you're a Primarch, you're now the regent of half the Imperium. Wow.
And even then, it is a relatively destabilized Imperium compared to the one he knew during the Great Crusades with the Emperor.
Yeah, you think that everything that's going on, Necrons, Tyranids, Orcs. I mean, you look at the various 9th edition maps, and it's like GW just dialed everything up to 11.
Oh yeah, there's so many Orc Was as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Massive ones.
don't get me wrong, when 9th first dropped in the introduction of the Primaris, I wasn't overly keen on the Primaris because it finally kind of felt like, because I played the Eye of Terror campaign back in,
Yeah.
was it 2003? I think it was. So I took part in that at my local GW, and then obviously fast forward to, what was it, 2 years ago now, when they finally they finally put it in the law that Cadia was destroyed and the Great Rift opened, and it was like, okay, I'm an Imperial player, I'm a Marine fanboy, and even I was happy that the bad guys actually won for a change.
Oh yeah.
Baden did it. The bad guys won. That's cool. It means the story's moving along. But here's your consolation prize, Primaris. I was late to the Primaris party, to be fair, because of that. Because it was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, I do kind of like, there's so many massive Orc Walls, there's the Tyranids. The threat is so much bigger in the Awakening Necrons that those Primaris are needed in a sense, right?
Yeah, in a way because then you, like I said, you the current lore and you look at the galaxy maps and it's like they've literally dialed everything up to 11. Like the inroads that the Tyranids have made, the amount of Orc Wags that are currently on the go, the Necrons. Obviously you've got the Great Rift.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's these little hints and stuff going back to the ambiguity. There's all these little hints about other Xenos races and the amount of raids and slavers and random attacks on the galaxy. And it's an interesting in the lore. It's an interesting time. Let's put it.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. Shall we move on to the miniature showcase?
Minis. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
And for anyone listening, I will be putting the minis we're looking at up on the screen on the video, so you can know what we're talking about. Otherwise, it would be a relatively boring segment. Just ooh, that looks neat, and it's just a static blank.
Someone hears the miniature showcase. Well, that's cool, and they're sat there looking at the screen, and all they've got is this black screen. It's like, well, I want to see. Like, where's the miniature?
But yeah, so the first one here is a Dark Magi by Megos Sasha on Twitter. And I will be linking where those that have a Twitter, I will be linking their Twitter so that you can go check it out as well.
Links in the description. Oh, that's nice.
This looks so amazing. I like the purple robe with the gold really pops.
I'm a big fan of purple. I like my purple, and that's a nice purple.
I actually can't tell, and I'm still learning about a lot of models, but I'm pretty sure this is a kit bash, yeah? Or is this a actual?
I think so.
Because the legs give me a very Necron vibe, right?
They're Necron legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're like, they're Necron legs. I don't recognize it straight away, so it's got to be a kit bash. They look like they're Necron legs.
I'm curious if the main like body with the robe might be green stuff.
Maybe it
And
could
then
be. I like it though. It's
yes, it
very,
looks.
and the
I
blue really stands out as well.
on the weapons, yes, and the like. I like the energy coils on the back. I don't really know what they are.
No, yeah, you're probably right. The energy coils coming out the back, and then the
Yeah.
top coil and the sphere at the bottom of the staff. Like
Oh
my
yeah,
eyes
yeah,
were
yeah.
drawn straight away to the sphere
Yeah.
and um, the things sticking out of the back. Like straight away, that's where my eyes were drawn between those two sections. I like that. I like the purple and the gold's
Oh yeah.
really nice.
Oh, yeah. I might actually be wrong here, but I think I see a part that I recognize. Like right on, he's holding a pistol in his
Yes.
left hand, and right underneath that, there's an arm. It looks a lot like the one on the new Primaris Tech Marine.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that cable that's coming out.
I could be wrong. It just looks similar.
It's a good one though. The dark mage.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like Dark Mechanicum, this would definitely be something I could imagine for that.
If there is anyone from GW listening to this podcast, you hear it here. You've heard it here, and you've probably seen it across Twitter. Give us Dark Mechanicum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. Next up, we have I wrote here Blade Guard veterans and more, but we have I'm pretty sure it's all the main Indomitus bits plus a librarian and a apothecary.
Oh yes,
As primary.
yeah
Yeah, from
Templar.
Hey Minis on Twitter. The name I forgot the name Twitter for a moment there, and yeah, these were the Silver Templars. Yeah,
I've
and
seen these. I recognise that apothecary at the back. What a handsome chap.
oh yes,
Yeah, these are fantastic.
yeah, a few things that I want to point out immediately. One, the metallic work. Like I've tried to do a full metallic one, and I could not make that look to a degree that I was satisfied with. The metallic work here is absolutely excellent, and the like tabards and the Primaris Ancients robes, the beige ones. Oh, there's actually on the right there. There's a judicar or
Oh,
judiciar
I
behind there.
didn't even realise that. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I didn't notice him until now.
Hiding.
I just noticed a bit of his robe behind there as I was speaking of it.
It's because they're so silent. You know, they're
Yeah,
quiet. You never know they're there.
yeah, and yeah, it's absolutely. And you can see on the captain in the middle. If you look at the Aquila on his chest, that highlighting on that is
really good. I like all of the detail. I mean, you look at the shields. I mean, even the apothecaries. I can't remember whether the apothecary models got one, but the little shields. Each shield is different. Like they're not all the same.
Yeah.
There's checkered. There's loads.
I can see one on the apothecary, but I don't think that's standard with the kit.
I don't think it is neither.
But I see the apothecary symbol on that, which is a very neat touch.
That's good.
I honestly can't tell which model that librarian is.
No, there's not enough of it to see. I would like to see more of it.
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely. And there are more pictures of his work on Twitter.
Yes.
I don't know if there's more angles of this specific setup, but there's dreadnoughts and everything else from the Silver Templar. So absolutely go check. Oh, I just noticed as well on the front blade guard there, right? The one of the leg guard or the knee pads is like red, and that sort of light bronze-ish skull. So clean work. Like there's absolutely no touch of it on the knee pad behind.
Yeah. I like the front, well, both of them actually, the front left and front right blade guard. If you look at the holsters for the pistols, the stitch marks on the leatherwork is really a really nice touch. Oh, the
Oh,
3 you can actually see it on anyway,
yeah.
because they've got it as well. That's really nice little touches.
I I know that the captain has one. I know that the apothecary has one with the apothecary symbol on. I believe the ancient has one as well. I'm not entirely sure about the chaplain at the moment, but I'm pretty sure he has one. We can see,
Yeah.
but they look absolutely. And I'm not sure. I want to say it's transfers, but if any of those like heraldry shields, if anything on those is free-handed, that's even more stunning. Like, but I want to say that some of those has
I'm
to be
not
transferred.
totally not, like, sat on Twitter, looking at Twitter, scrolling through his Twitter feed right now at all. I am totally out.
Shall we move on to the shall we move on to the third mini, which is a
Oh,
Tower
oh,
Rocks
be still
by Boda.
twin autocannons. Oh,
Oh yes, I I love how like this Imperial Guard. Can you call it a tank? A transport?
transport.
Oh, um,
Uh,
a transport. Yeah, I just
Lightning
love the thought of
tank.
yeah, mix between transport and a tank, but like four treads on it instead of four wheels. I just love that. That is
I remember when
wicked and wild, and it's amazing.
and the model got so much flack. There were so many memes going around about this vehicle. And you know what? Over the years, it's grown on a lot of people. I
Oh yeah,
really like the camo, like the way
yeah,
it's done. You can see. I don't know what bit to describe it on. So on the engine,
yeah,
the door with that little Aquila,
yes,
like that.
oh yeah,
That's got to have been done purposefully. Otherwise, that's a happy stance. Like,
oh yeah,
just next to the Aquila and below and to its left on the engine mounting, there's, like, stippling of the camo.
oh yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Whether Bodan has done this on purpose or whether this is just a happy happenstance, but you can if you look really carefully, there's odd bits of the camo where the overlapping paint is showing through, and it looks really nice.
Oh yeah.
See,
I do also want
yeah,
to say the
this by far would be my favorite, purely and simply because the camo is done right. It's not just on paneling, they've done it over the exhausts. There's the weapon at the back has got it over it.
yeah,
The
oh yeah,
weapon casing, it's over that, and it's got autocannons.
yeah. I do also want to say the highlights at the front, the blue in there.
Those lights.
That just yeah, that just looks great. That is so good.
Mm,
Yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah. And moving on from that, we have an absolutely insane tank from Fatal Dan here from your Discord.
Fatal Dan is possibly one of the most active members on the Miniatures Apothecary Discord. He's a brilliant,
Oh yeah.
brilliant painter, and yeah. I mean, you can see it. Like,
Oh,
his
I mean,
conversion works fantastic.
yeah, a Death Guard tank, and if I remember correctly, like most of everything there is green stuff,
Yeah,
like that's sculpt, and that is Death Guard if I ever saw something. Like it's
it's
so sickly, pestilence.
the jaw
Yeah,
and the tongue at the front. It's just like, bleh.
yeah, it's Nurgle chaos incarnate. Like
Hmm. Can you
it's
imagine
just
being like a lone Imperial Guardsman? And I don't mean like Kriegsman here. I mean like a Acadian, and seeing
yeah.
that rolling towards you. I
Oh
think
yeah,
I'd face the Commissar's wrath than face this.
yeah.
That's horrific to look at. That's nightmare.
I know. I believe he had it in alternate turret. I don't have the picture here now, but I believe he had an alternate
Yeah.
turret where there's basically a tentacle holding the turret up above, which is also just
Yes,
it's
yeah,
so
it's
chaos.
an alternative turret.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like
Oh,
Nurgle vehicles. conversation I was involved in years ago. Someone turned around and said, "Oh,
Mm.
Nurgle vehicle probably really easy to do. It's just slap on some green stuff, done." And that he got challenged by a long-time Nurgle player, Death Guard,
Oh yeah.
and Death Guard 40k, Death Guard 30k, challenged him to convert just a rhino
Oh yeah.
green stuff. And like a week later, he was like, "I can't do it." He's like, "How do you get those boils and the pustules and
Oh yeah.
those tentacles? I can't get my tentacles to stay." And someone who's been doing it for a while is probably or used to using green stuff. It's probably really easy.
Yeah, you pick up those like tips and
Yeah,
tricks, right?
yeah.
I did notice something on the Predator here in the bottom left one. If you look at the very front, there's a skeleton, sort of like melded into the tank.
I didn't notice that before. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I only noticed it now as well.
Just imagine he's like, "Kill me."
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's
It's
absolutely stunning,
how
and
brilliant is that?
it's good as well because there is so much Death Guard stuff, but you can clearly see that it's a Predator tank still,
Mm. Death
and
Guard
that's
and Death Guard and Chaos, Death Guard and Orcs are two armies that I think you can pretty much take any model and turn it into something else.
oh yeah,
Little to no effort
yeah,
because they are just amalgamations of different things, and this is just a prime example. It's clearly a predator,
oh yeah,
but it's clearly possessed. Its machine spirit has clearly given itself over to Nurgle. Never mind the crew.
yeah. Oh yes, oh yes. Uh, and moving on to the last one, which is kind of a two-parter because it's a very fun one. The Skaven Marine by a friend of mine, Lockmar.
Logmar. Oh my god,
Uh,
that's brilliant.
it's basically just a Skaven head on a
Mm.
Chaos Marine, and he did do a kind of artified image of it that I included there as well.
Yes, yeah,
And just
we scrolled past. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean he is gonna paint it. He's just missing the paint at the moment, but it fits so well.
yeah.
Like
There's a reference many, many, many moons ago. There was one of the older gentlemen at the shop I used to go to showed me a bit of lore, and basically it's like an insert at the very side of one of the pages in one of the older rule books, and it basically describes Skaven. And I
oh
would love to
yeah,
see that actually happen. And little
oh
things like this, where you've just got Skaven's head on a marine body, it's just like
yeah,
it's not quite the what you'd expect, but it's still really funny and it's cool.
yes,
And I want to see this when it's painted as well.
oh yes. I will definitely keep you updated when he's painted it.
It's
I really hope he does his entire Chaos Marine squad like this.
and tell
Oh yes,
Lockmar to do an entire
I
and
I will. Oh
like 500 points,
yeah, I mean,
troops and
they would have to have like a lot of because in fantasy and I imagine AOS they do a lot with like warp stone.
yeah.
I imagine that the equivalent would just be having a bunch of psychers, right?
Um, I think there is something similar in the 40k universe, like the
Oh yeah.
warp stone. Um,
Okay.
I mean, you get like warp flame, you get warp storms. There's warp lightning. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
there's warp stone out there somewhere. I might just be intentionally dense right now, not remembering the exact bit of lore, but I'm pretty sure that there is warp stone in 40k. It's just it
oh,
might just go by a different name. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, Skaven in 40k.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I've seen a couple of guys over the years give it a go, and each time I find it funny, but in a good way.
Oh yes. But
So I'd be
mate,
interested to see this coming. This
oh yeah.
flourish.
Oh yeah. But imagine a one of those fantasy Skaven warpstone catapults, but a 40k version of that. That would look sick.
Awesome.
That would look absolutely amazing.
Rat ogres in 40k.
Oh,
Just be like the
oh,
equivalent of a dreadnought, or probably an ogre
an Ogryn would probably work. Yeah.
because they're not ogring. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's an interesting idea.
Just take the rules for an Ogrin. There you go. Done. There's your.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's yeah, but that rounds up our first showcase or miniature showcase of community work, and that brings us to the end of episode 1. And what I want to try to do here at the end of the episodes is what I have been doing on Twitter and ask a curious question to whoever the guest is, and hopefully the audience, whoever's watching, might join in and answer in the comments. So I was going to ask you the very first curious question of the episodes.
Oh god, goodness me! Go on then.
Which this time will be, if you got to choose which Warhammer faction got to gets another or gets its own animation, sort of like Astartes. Which faction would you choose?
Blatant, obvious Space Wolves.
Space Wolves, yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, I recently read the Lone Wolves by Dan Abnett and Carl Richardson, and something like that along those lines. A lot of imagery, a lot of detail, and a bit of bolter fun.
I think something that could be really cool is sort of an animation following someone taking the basically trials to become the Space Wolves on Fenris.
Yeah, that'd be quite trippy as well.
Yeah.
Because you think how much what goes on in their minds while they're going through that transition, and I mean that'd be the same for a lot of the Space Marine aspirants, really, wouldn't it? It'd be quite cool to see.
I mean, Blood Angels spend a year in a coffin filled with blood, so
exorcists, have a demon put in them. An animation from like an aspirant's point of view would be trippy, and it'd be really cool because it'd give us a look into.
Would be a bit difficult to get right, to get the sheer grimness of it right, but it could be cool.
Well,
yeah. But so that's
I think that'd work.
That's the curious question of the episode, and with that, it brings us to the very, very end, which means some goodbyes.
Oh.
But hopefully, if everything works out, we may meet and talk on another episode in the future.
Yes, I'd happily.
Yeah, and I'm hoping all works out. So I want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I want to thank anyone who's still here for listening to the end of the episode. And again, all the links to your content being Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, I believe it was.
Twitch, just all the stuff.
All of it will be down in the description. And with that, I will see you all next time. Thank you.
Bye.